I am Marwan Cameron, and this is the Conduit. All right, y'all, it is Saturday, September 4, 2021. I hope that you are having a good weekend. Uh, as some of you know, many of you probably don't yet, I did not just get out of the gym. I have COVID, so I have quite the fever right now. I'm not feeling too hot. Um, it is what it is, but I haven't been on in a few days. So, one, it's important to, stay consistent. And two, uh, you need to, let people know what's going on, right? Because it can be helpful to someone else. So, we are here today, continuing to do the work. Shout out to you, Sabrina. I see you in the chat there. All right. But I want to give you some important news first. As you know, um, the anniversary of 9/11, um, Sacrifice of Service, is a national day of service and remembrance. That is coming up here really soon on 9/11. This is actually going to be the 20th anniversary commemoration. And they will be honoring first responders, emergency preparedness, safe community, providing protection to our families and communities. And so they're asking you to join them on Saturday, September 11, 2021, at the amphitheater at the Evergreen Park in Bremerton. And it will start promptly at 9/11 and go until noon. So shout out to the city of Bremerton, Martitha May from Kids at Mesa Redonda, Koye Karen Vargas from Living Life Leadership. Uh, those two ladies are the ones that are organizing this event. And Peninsula Community Health Services, Kitsap County Public Health, Kitsap County Department of Emergency Management, and several other folks are involved. So, yeah, come on down and on 9/11 for the 20th anniversary commemoration uh, for 9/11. It's hard to believe that it's been, uh, so long already. Uh, but it has 20 years. It goes by, it go by pretty quick. We're so focused on doing what we need to do, and we don't realize how fast time flies. So it's just important to be mindful of that. And so they will be there on that day. The plan will be also, which I'm honored to be a part of, is having some of the folks that will be participating in the event coming on to the podcast um, up until the event, and then hopefully keeping those relationships going post event, which will be good. So, you know, we have an opportunity here to start to do things different here in the community, and get beyond a lot of the, and not to say that people aren't doing good work. Obviously, there have been folks that have been doing fantastic work in the community for a while, but for more of us to really kind of get off the bench, get away from, uh, social media, tweeting and sharing and posting and reposting, but really getting out there and doing the work, and being more intentional about it. I guess that there's really no better word for it. So I'm excited to be a part of this because for 20 years I haven't uh, really recognized the day or what's going on, and so again, another opportunity to grow. As I say, look for your, uh, you know, um, increase your circle of influence and your circle of support, and then bring that knowledge, skills, and abilities that you learn about and share them out in the group. So that's what it's about. Hey, how you doing there, Mr. Dent? um, yeah, so I started feeling bad a little while ago. My towel was started feeling bad a few days ago, and I just thought maybe I was just sick. Seems like everyone's getting sick right now, and a lot of folks are getting COVID for sure. Um, but didn't think that's what it was in the beginning, because there are several people that have been getting tested and it's not COVID, and it's just like this end of the summer um, bug that's going around. So, um, but I guess apparently that's not what it is. Yeah, as I've been vaccinated. I've had the Moderna vaccine, and so it's been a while now. Let me see. I was just reading that because I had to put that in for the test. My first shot was on May 8th, and then my second shot was June 5th. So, I've been vaccinated for a while. As I've shared with you, I do have a autoimmune. I have a lung disease called sarcoidosis. I also have high blood pressure. I'm morbidly obese. So I've got a lot of morbidities that make this potential or this disease, potentially more deadly than it does to other folks. And so that's what originally got me to take the vaccine, and then by proxy, um, education, knowledge, and having conversations, the rest of my team are receiving their vaccination. So definitely, you got to do what's best for you and your family. There is a lot of really good information out there, so implore you, I implore you to go out and do your research on that, so um, you've got the latest and greatest. And what I would say is it's dangerous for any of us to get stuck in our own echo chambers. We all have folks that we trust and that we believe in, wherever they come from. It could be from our religious circles, it can be, adults, it could be, medical professionals, whatever it is. Um, we're going to believe them, right? Because we've trusted them our whole lives, or whenever we came in contact with them, and they've earned our trust. And so, we don't have much of a reason to doubt it. And they've been right on a lot of other things. So, it's like, hey, they said this was how things were, and I believe that. And so when this comes along, I believe that too. Why wouldn't I? Um, but what I would say is trust but verify. Go out and do your own research. Go and look at, if someone tells me hardcore that something is a certain way, then I want to go and hear what the people that are against that have to say, just to have some perspective on it, and then do some analysis and some research on my own, and then come to my own conclusions, right? I do that with movies. So a lot of times, I have a very interesting um, uh, I like some pretty weird movies. Let's just say that some B movies or some C or D movies, they get pretty low, and because of that, I like what I like. And although I have folks that I trust that have a lot of the same interest in movies that I do, um, I still need to watch it for myself, because they'll say, "Oh, I didn't like this," or "I loved it," and then you'll go and watch the movie, and you're like, "I didn't see the same movie that you did. I didn't like that at all," or "I don't see why you thought this was so bad. I actually really enjoyed the movie," and so that's kind of what I mean. Trying to put it in a way that's easily digestible for you, is just go ahead and look at some other sources. Look at and if you are skeptical against our, the CDC and our government and whatnot, um, I think there's some other ways that you can take a look at some things. My dad used to tell me, go where you're not wanted, right? My dad grew up in in the 70s, um, and the 80s, as a young adult. And so, you're talking about, just post civil rights movement era. And so he'd say, go where you're not wanted, because if you go where you're not wanted, you're likely to get better services. And so one of the things that I looked at was, for those that say, um, the government's trying to do this or the government's trying to do that, and they're trying to track you, or they're trying to kill you, or they're trying to do all these different things that they could be doing. I look at who's taking the vaccine. I look at who has access. And when the vaccine first came available, if you remember, many of the highest income zip codes were the ones that were getting vaccinated first, right? And so I look at it from the standpoint is, those who are wealthy and well-to-do, um, who can get the best of healthcare, can buy, their own healthcare and their specialists, for those folks to get vaccinated. And I would say that these people are not, duped easily. And from a cynical standpoint, we'd say that those folks are probably doing a lot of the duping. So I don't see them falling prey to some government scam. You know what I mean? So I think there's some other ways to look at some things. And in our mindsets, we can get so entrenched in that myopic viewpoint of what people say to us, and what we believe. We want to believe a thing, or three or four things in that ecosystem is true, and in which you believe. Then adding this piece on just makes sense, and you can't pull away from it or cut away from it and just say, okay, in this situation I can actually look at it from a different lens and say, all right. So I don't know, that might help someone. But I have conversations with folks that still don't want to become vaccinated, people that have, contracted COVID and have gotten really sick and are still like, yeah, no, I'm not getting vaccinated. And, I just encourage you to do some of the research. I firmly believe that, although I'm clearly not out of the woods yet, as you can see, and it's just a couple days in. So, um, we'll see if this is touch and go here over the next 4 or 5 days. But, um, the whole thing about being vaccinated is it doesn't say that you're not going to get sick. It doesn't keep you from getting sick. What it does is it almost eliminates your necessity to be hospitalized if you do get COVID, right? And you can see that this Delta variant is just going crazy right now. So I firmly believe in the way that I'm feeling now. And, when they tell you, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Well, I'm not that righteous. I would definitely wish it on my worst enemies. They didn't have to be the worst enemies. I'd still wish it on them. I'm just being 100, shout out to Deborah. That's her phrase there. I'm keeping 100. But I do firmly believe if I had not been vaccinated, there's a very good chance that with um, just kind of the mix of the health issues that I have, I wouldn't be here now. So my hope is that I will continue to be here. I'm trying to do all the things. Um, One of the things that I'll tell you also is, we amass so much information over time, right? And as I do these podcasts and being in the education field, we're constantly learning, right, as lifelong learners. And so you're consuming all of this information. And so as you're doing that, you're like, okay, so what's good, what's bad, what is where can I trim the fat off and get to the meat of something where there's a lot of fat in it, because sometimes there is some truth lying along, in the weeds of the lies, and vice versa. and so that can be difficult. So, um, as you're learning and you're kind of parroting the things that you're getting from the public health department and the CDC and things like that, this is what you need to do and stay hydrated and get sleep and social distance and wear your mask. When you get it, it's like, all right, what do I need to do now? You take this thing a whole lot more serious. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's just another level. And it's not that I, didn't take it serious before, as I have been, a big proponent of folks getting vaccinated. It's why our organization provides free transportation for those that want to get vaccinated. So again, that is still going. If you want to get vaccinated, just give our office a call, 360-373-3000, and we'll get you, to a vaccination site and get you vaccinated. If you need help setting up your appointment, let us know that too. We can help you with that. So if you need free transportation for the vaccine or for the KEPA, which is the KITAP Eviction Assistance Program, give our office a call and we will help you through that process. And as you know, if you've been watching these podcasts, we work with other organizations like Hope 360 and Living Life Leadership and whatnot. If you're working with them and they're your primary person or your resource, the organization that you're working through, but you need a ride, you can reach out to us, right? We not only serve, you, the client, but we also serve other organizations in that way also. So don't be afraid to say, hey, I need a ride down to Hope 360 so I can get this paperwork done. Miss Deborah's helping me out with that. We'll absolutely get you on the schedule and get you down there. So anyway, as I was saying before, I'm kind of looking at this information here and I'm like, okay, so what do I need to be doing? And so this person here, let me see, let me scroll down here. This is, let's see, where is his site? MedCram, Medical Lectures Explained Clearly. And so if you want to check out that site, I would implore you to do so. So, and this is if you get COVID-19. This premiered January 2nd, 2021. He does have a link here to the CDC, which I'm going to go to next. But, I'm trying to figure out now that I'm in this situation, what should I be taking or what should I consider? And now all this information comes flooding in, right? You've probably seen what Joe Rogan is taking, and you've heard what President Trump took, and some of the other politicians and whatnot, and stuff locally, right? The deworming medicine. There's so many different things out there that we're hearing about. But what I've seen kind of consistently over and over is vitamin C, vitamin D, and these are things that I take on a daily basis anyway, which is good. I also take vitamin B, and I think that's really good for you. It's good for energy and some other things. And then I try to take some zinc also. And so here, there are some suggestions. Now, this one is a really big one here, is E, which is sleep, and they're suggesting 7 hours. And so what I'm telling people is, I try to sleep when I can. It's very, even under perfect conditions, I just don't sleep like that. I sleep about 4 hours a day, if I'm lucky. And so now, if my body, I'm already like super fatigued, really tired. So when the sleep comes on, I just let it, go ahead and get to sleep. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, I'm up all night, which is usually how it's been since I've gotten sicker. So it sucks because that's when the fever comes, and the majority of the symptoms that you have seem to be at their worst, right? You're like sweating buckets. Everyone's asleep. There's no one to talk to. Um, it's like there's no one to baby you either, right? You just kind of just riding. You're just riding it through by yourself. So it is what it is. But vitamin C is a good one. I like the chewables, um, the big horse pills. Make it kind of get stuck in my chest. I like the little chewables. Plus, it feels like I'm eating candy, so it incentivizes me to, take my medicine, take my vitamins. The vitamin D, which is really good. Now, this quercetin, I believe that's a supplement. I was looking that up on Amazon, which we can go and take a look at both of those. The NAC 600 milligrams orally twice a day, and I'm not a medical professional, so uh, take this with a huge grain of salt. Just do your own investigation. The sleep and the zinc, and so for me, when I look at this list here, I'm like, okay, if I don't know what a thing is, then I might stay away from it. But A, B, E, and F, I can definitely do. I feel pretty good about those things. Um, I feel pretty good about those things. So I can try that. As far as the other two, I think I started to put this in my cart here. Let me see here. I was thinking about getting this from Amazon, but I'm actually, when you're blessed to have uh, a circle of folks that support you, I can, uh, they're like, tell me what it is you need, right? And actually, if I don't, then they're going to be upset with me. So, I have to let them know. But here, the quercetin plus zinc here, I saw on Amazon, and 500 milligrams with zinc. And anytime I can take less, that's great. And they said this is a immune system booster for lung support, and it's a supplement for adults and kids. So I thought that was pretty interesting. One of the things that I'm having my folks do is they're actually going to go to the supplement store, and they could talk with the folks there and see what they have to say. If you have access to your 24-hour doctor or your teledoctor, definitely ask questions. Um, I was listening to the podcast that I was showing you earlier, and they were talking about the vitamin D, and then he was saying something about the vitamin D not being good for people that have sarcoidosis, and I'm like, what? you know, so that kind of threw me off. I was like, that doesn't sound good. So I'm a little concerned about that. So we'll have to see. So I might have to ask about that. Is it if I take too much vitamin D, is that bad? So I'm just not sure about that. Um, but yeah, that was kind of concerning. That kind of made me a little worried there. Like how much is, and I've been taking vitamin D on my own anyway. So again, it's really good for you to talk with your doctors. Don't just start taking a bunch of stuff without having a conversation. So that's really important. But yeah, definitely get to sleep. I do that. I've had, I think I would sleep here earlier for about an hour. I got a little bit of rest and then, back up. So I think the last time I took my temperature, I was at almost 102. So, but I think the sweating is good from what I was seeing. So your body is fighting through some stuff, which is great. And then, like I said, from the website or from this particular YouTube channel, again, which is let me scroll down here, the MedCram medical lectures explained clearly. And he was pretty, easy to follow. So I've watched a few videos of his and I did enjoy those. And then I can click here and go straight to the CDC. And so, definitely I would say, go and take a look at what the experts are saying. And again, I know that's difficult if you feel some kind of way about the CDC and you feel some kind of way about the government. I will definitely 100% concur that the CDC has, along with, our government has made a mess of this whole thing. And it really has gone a long way to erode the trust in regards to, what should we believe and what shouldn't we believe? What wasn't the truth and what's the truth now? So I get that it's difficult. Uh, but at the same time, No one is going to be perfect, for sure. That we know is true. We also know that, um, again, there's got to be some truth in with the your skepticism, right? There's got to be some truth there. And again, you've got the whole world. So I don't think the whole world is being duped here either. So that's just something for consideration. And again, look at those who are well off. What is it that they're doing, right? If you are just feeling like, hey, this is, against uh, black and brown folks, if it's against, poor people, if it's, wealth distribution, whatever you might be thinking that these things might be, look and see what the well-to-do do when they find themselves in these scenarios. And I think that might also be a good guiding point for you to kind of sift through that. Anyhow, caring for someone sick at home. And again, I am at the CDC up here. You'll know. I know that's a little small for you to read, uh, but you're looking for the ending on a URL. So this is .gov, so you know that it's from the government and not from some other site. And so that's important, right? .edu is going to be education, things like that. .org will be for organizations. So just FYI on that. But caring for someone sick at home, if you're caring for someone with COVID-19 at home or a non healthcare setting, follow this advice to protect yourself and others. Learn what to do when someone has symptoms of COVID-19 or when someone has been diagnosed with the virus. This information also should be followed when caring for people who have tested positive but are not showing symptoms. So, to me, I think that's almost more dangerous than when you do show symptoms, right? Just want to just pop up here to show you what some of the symptoms are of COVID-19. So that it does range wildly here. Fever and chills, I do have that. Cough, I do have that. Shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, thank God I don't have that. I think that's the biggest one to be concerned about. Um, I believe the device is an oximeter, and these things are only like $14. You can, if you go, if you remember when you go to the doctor, they put the blood pressure cuff on your arm, and then they put that little device on your finger, and it's measuring your oxygen. Well, that is a huge indicator of, how much air you're getting. So I think that's a really powerful tool. I saw that on Amazon for like $14. Uh, so I think that one's a good, just as important as having a thermometer right now. As the hospitals are getting filled up, as hospital staff are getting COVID and everything else, um, we're going to have to take care of ourselves at home more and more. So that's a big one. So I'm actually ordering some of those for our staff, uh, so that we have some as some of our folks, get sick. God forbid, but it's likely to happen, and they'll have access to those uh, that equipment. So fevers and chills, cough, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing. Haven't had that. Fatigue, super fatigue. Muscle or body aches, man. I can't tell you. If it feels like you worked out every muscle in your body after you haven't worked out for like 6 months. You get that first workout where you go on a hike, or you move, or you just do something really strenuous that you haven't done in a long time, and that next day it's like I can barely move. Yeah, it is, man. The muscle and body aches is, I don't even know what's the worst right now. Headaches, definitely have those. New loss of taste or smell. Haven't had that problem yet. Sore throat. I don't have a sore throat. I'm definitely congested uh, and runny nose. So it just kind of, alternates back and forth. Either I can't breathe or I can breathe. It's just pouring out, right? Or I'm sweating or I'm freezing. Sometimes I'm sweating and I'm freezing at the same time. Nausea or vomiting. I haven't had any vomiting, but I have been nauseated from time to time, and then diarrhea. I haven't had any diarrhea symptoms. So I have about 85% of the symptoms that are on here. But like I said, what seems to be more scary is that folks can have be positive for COVID and not exhibit any of these symptoms, right? And it really can disguise itself as a cold or even allergies. And so that's the scary one. Um, so let me pick up where I left off here. Or someone has been diagnosed with the virus. This information also should be followed when caring for people who have tested positive but are not showing symptoms. There's a note here: older adults and people of any age with serious underlying medical conditions are at a higher rate of developing more severe illness from COVID. People at higher risk of severe illness should call a doctor as soon as the symptoms start. So I definitely messed up there. I've been sick for a few days, and I should have called my doctor yesterday. And uh, I don't know why I didn't think that. Um, but they talk about brain fog. That's not listed on there. Brain fog, whatever. You're trying to just deal with the emergency that's in front of you, and so you're not always thinking. It's like, oh yeah, no, I just go and do this. Let me go and get this test done, and you're still trying to continue on with life, and it just was something that I overlooked. But yeah, I absolutely need to let my doctor know. Uh, Watch for warning signs. Have their doctor's phone number on hand. Use the CDC self-checker tool to help you make decisions about seeking appropriate medical care. And this one's important. So if you are um, the person in the household that calls the doctors, that has all the medical records for everyone, but you're the one that's sick, that means that someone else needs to have this information in case you come to a point where you're not able to be helpful and you can't communicate that with them. They need to know who to call. So that's really important. And so there's some protocols that I have set up, and to make sure that G2 is okay and things continue forward, even if I have to take a leave of absence. Hopefully not an eternal leave, but just a leave nonetheless. Call their doctor if the person keeps getting sicker. For medical emergencies, call 911 and tell the dispatcher that the person might have COVID. When to seek emergency medical attention. Look for the warning signs for COVID. If someone is showing any of these signs, seek emergency medical care immediately. Trouble breathing, persistent pain or pressure in the chest, okay? New confusion. And so that's a big one. That's what I was saying. Inability to wake or stay awake. I've been watching that one closely just because, like I said, I've been so tired. And I've just, what? If I can go to sleep, I'm going to go. So, and then when there's no one here with you, that's one that I've got to be extra careful about. Pale, gray, or blue colored skin, lips, or nail beds, depending on the skin tone, right? This is not this list is not all possible symptoms, but please call your medical provider for any other symptoms that are severe concerning you. Okay, so these are things that you need to do if you're seeing these things, right? And so it's really important uh, to watch the progression, right? And oftentimes we'll think that we're getting better. I felt that way today. I got up and I finally hit that sweet spot, and I was like, oh man, I'm feeling pretty good right now. And it's like, all right, let me strip the bed, wash all this bedding. I've got a sanitary cycle on my washing machine, so I've got it on the sanitary cycle. Let me Lysol down the room. Let me open up all the windows and cook some breakfast. So I'm doing this, and I'm feeling good. Like I don't have COVID at all. It's just another regular day. I took my temperature and it said it was 101, and I'm like, what? I feel fine. And I didn't even finish cooking breakfast, and then all of a sudden it just like hit me like a ton of bricks. It was just like, whoa, and it was like the energy and the strength that you had amassed from getting that rest, you just blew through it, and here it comes, boom. And I've been on this podcast for 35 minutes, but I've been sweating for like 2.5 hours straight like this. Uh, And so it's like you get this false sense of getting better. It's like, oh, I feel fine, and we got work to do. We got kids to take care of, we got companies to run, there's we got errands, we've got chores, got to eat, there's things that need to be done, right? Trying to catch up on stuff. And it's like, man, we got to get this stuff done. And you get to going and you think you're good. And it's like, no, you're not. But to protect yourself, you want to limit your contact, eat in separate areas, avoid sharing personal items. Um, I should probably click on to this. COVID 19 spreads between people who are in close contact within about 6 feet through respiratory droplets created when someone talks, coughs, or sneezes. Staying away from others helps to stop the spread of COVID. The caregiver, when possible, should not be with someone who is at high risk for severe illness of COVID. The person who is sick should isolate. A sick person should separate themselves from others in the home. Learn when and how to isolate. If possible, have the person who is sick use a separate bedroom and bathroom. If possible, have the person who is sick stay in their own sick room or area and away from others. Try to stay at least 6 feet away from the sick person. Shared space. If you have to share a space, make sure that the room has good airflow. That means keeping your window open. Um, I think if you just have a fan blowing around, then you're just blowing the virus around. Like, I think you need to actually get fresh air in. Improving ventilation helps remove respiratory droplets from the air. Avoid having visitors, avoid having any unnecessary visitors, especially visits by people who are at high risk of severe illness. Caregivers should quarantine. Caregivers and anyone who has been in close contact with someone who has COVID 19 should stay home, except in limited circumstances. When is it safe for a person who has been sick to be around others? So, this is an important one for me. Deciding when it is safe to be around others is different for different situations. Find out when someone who is sick can safely end home isolation. So, I'm going to go ahead and open that up because I think that's a really important one. So, quarantine and isolation. Now, there's a difference between quarantining and isolation. You quarantine when you might have been exposed to the virus. You isolate when you have been infected with the virus, even if you don't have symptoms. So that's definitely me. Uh, so the quarantine one, if you've been in close contact within 6 feet of someone who's for a cumulative of 15 minutes, that's not long at all, or more over a 24-hour period, or someone who has COVID 19, unless you have been fully vaccinated. People who are fully vaccinated do not need to quarantine after contact with someone who has COVID 19 unless they have symptoms. However, fully vaccinated people should get tested 3 to 5 days after their exposure, even if they don't have symptoms, and wear a mask indoors in public for 14 days following exposure or until the next test result is negative. Now, we know that it's a holiday weekend and they're thinking there's going to be a super spreader event. I definitely won't be going anywhere and contributing to that. After quarantine, watch for the symptoms until 14 days after exposure. Okay, so that's a long time. So I think for me, um, when would that be? If I started getting sick on Tuesday, so that'd be like 2 Tuesdays. Uh, if you have symptoms, immediately self isolate and contact your local public health authority or healthcare provider. You may be able to shorten your quarantine. Your local public health authorities make the final decision about how long quarantine should last based on the local conditions and needs. Follow the recommendation of your local public health department if you need quarantine. Options they will consider include stopping quarantine after day 10 without testing, after day 7 after receiving a negative test result. Tests must occur on day 5 or later. Isolation is used to separate people infected with COVID 19 from those who are not infected. People who are in isolation should stay home until it is safe for them to be around others. At home, anyone sick or infected should separate from others, stay in a specific sick room or area, and use a separate bathroom if available. Monitor your symptoms. If you have an emergency warning sign, including trouble breathing, seek emergency medical care immediately. Stay in a separate room from other household members. Use a separate bathroom. Avoid contact with other members of the household and pets. Don't share personal items like cups, towels, or utensils. Wear a mask when around other people if able. And I think we are able to do that. Learn more about what to do if you're sick and how to notify your contacts. When you can be around others after you've had or likely had COVID, most people do not require testing to decide when they can be around others. However, our healthcare provider recommends testing. Uh, they will let you know when you can resume being around others based on your test results. For anyone who has been around a person with COVID-19, if you've had close contact, you should stay home for 14 days after the last exposure to that person. However, anyone who has had close contact with someone with COVID-19 and who met the following criteria does not need to stay home. Someone who's been fully vaccinated and shows no symptoms. However, fully vaccinated people should get tested 3 to 5 days after exposure, even if they don't have symptoms, and wear a mask indoors in public for 14 days exposure until the test result is negative, or someone who has had COVID-19 illness within the previous 3 months has recovered and remains without COVID symptoms. For example, a cough or shortness of breath. What if you think or know you had COVID-19? You had all the symptoms. You can be around others after 10 days since the symptoms first appeared and 24 hours with no fever without the use of fever reducing medications, and other symptoms of COVID-19 are improving. Uh, Here they have an asterisk. A loss of taste or smell may persist for weeks or months after recovery and need not delay the end of isolation. Note that these recommendations do not apply to people with severe COVID or weakened immune system, those who are immunocompromised. Um, so, all this stuff is here on the CDC. You definitely want to take care. I know it can be tough to separate yourself when you're around, other folks. You live in a house with people. I'm in a good position in that I don't have to worry about being around other people. But then I'm also in a bad position is that there's no one else around. So, it's I really have to be on top of letting people know that I'm not doing well if this thing really takes a turn. So I can't be stubborn or be a quote unquote tough guy and just ride it through. I've got to communicate with my folks and let them know, hey man, this I'm not doing too good. I think I'm getting worse. And so people are checking in on me. They're checking in all day long. I still need to respond to some folks and let them know I'm doing okay. But um, yeah, it's important. So you do want to do those things, but it's going to be a minute. And as I was saying before, winter is coming, but truly, winter is here. So definitely, this thing is real. Uh, if I hadn't been vaccinated, I definitely think I would be in a bad way. Be in a bad way. I was going to show some videos on folks that were against the vaccine um, who got COVID and either still were defiant even after, whether they died, and some died, some recovered and they're still like, no, I'm not going to take it, and but some were defiant to the end and got COVID and died, and unfortunately they had big platforms and voices and they were able to put that out. So one kind of weird one is like this: my right eye's been bloodshot like I'm turned into a vampire. So it's been red for like 2.5 days. Like, I don't know what's going on with the eye. So that ain't on the list of symptoms. So it is what it is. Uh, But yeah, try to get your rest. Stay hydrated. And I know that that's not on that list, but it's important that we drink our water. You know, try to eat when you can. I know that a lot of times when we don't feel well, we don't want to eat, but you need to try to eat something, and don't try to overexert yourself. You need your rest. The worst thing you can do. I know you need to move around. You don't want to just not do anything, but we get these spurts, and it's like, all right, I gotta go. I get this energy, and I know I'm guilty of it too, right? Like I said, I've already. I was thinking about mopping the floor. It's like, lost your mind. So we'll see what happens. But I just it is what it is. There's stuff to do, so we gotta get it done, get her done. We gotta get her done, and that's really the bottom line of it. Uh, but of course, I need to also share with you our local. Uh, Kids at Public Health, right? So if you want to learn more about the vaccine or where you can get vaccinated, kcowa.us/vaccine. Let me go ahead and take you to Kids at Public Health just so we have that too. And they have been just really phenomenal, I think, in their um, response and trying to make themselves accessible, uh, which has been great. As you know, I was invited in to sit on their equity meetings, and so that's been really helpful in regards to being able to share information with the community that I serve with the latest information. So, COVID updates and resources. There's a book on COVID-19 vaccine. Let me see if I can zoom in here a little bit. All right, probably a lot better for you guys. Sorry about that. But there's a book there. There's a COVID-19 vaccination in Kitsap County. Everyone 12 or older can get vaccinated. Protect your health during hot weather. COVID-19 resources in Spanish here. Face covering mandates. So if we wanted to book a vaccine, they are not administering the booster doses to the general public at this time. Right now, it is for people that are immunocompromised. So one of the things I'll need to do is see when I'm able to get that booster. I don't think they give it to you while you're, uh, fighting an infection. You got to wait until you're through, you're over it. But yeah, definitely we'll probably be getting that booster there. And then they also have where you can get walk-ins. So St. Michael's in Bremerton, which is the old hospital, the old Harrison, they have a walk-in clinic. Okay. If you need any assistance with booking your appointment or registering or canceling or registering, you can get that help here on this left-hand side if you're following my mouse here. And again, they're all very, very helpful people from what I found as far as, giving answers and answering questions and even talking about what's coming up. So really good. One other thing that I wanted to talk about too is, our big push has been um, trying to get folks vaccinated, right? Trying to reach herd immunity, and even beyond the whole herd immunity. I mean, that's great for the community at large, but I'm still, it's still important for me to try to reach the individual, right? Individuals need to be vaccinated so that they can, be around, right? And what I think that people forget is it seems like it's these absolutes, right? It's either and I'm sorry, I apologize for sweating so badly on here, but it is what it is. Uh, it's not this absolute of I don't have COVID or I get COVID and I die, right? Because everyone doesn't die when they have it. But there is another quality of life piece about COVID that is really important, right? That's the long haul COVID symptoms that people experience, right? And if you've watched, if you've done any research, if you've looked at social media, you've seen folks talk about not having their taste or their smell come back for months. You've heard people talk about just having these really debilitating levels of fatigue or not really being able to breathe months after they're through with COVID. They've got negative testing, but they're still dealing with these issues. Months after, now they have this permanent damage to their lungs. So you're hearing about these things, and so it's we're such resilient people as human beings, right? We go through these traumas, and once we come on the other side, it's just we go back to life and we do what we do. But, you know, if you can't taste or smell, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is a big deal. If that's going to be your life for the next several months and you don't know when this is going to come back, that's a quality of life thing. If you are so fatigued that you can't do what you were doing before, if you can't take care of your children, if you can't go to work, if you can't, um, you really don't have much of enjoyment, right? I mean, you can have sadness and depression can sink in. Those things are scary and concerning. And then for me, even with being vaccinated, I still have COVID. So, is this going to do even more irreparable damage to my lungs than the sarcoidosis has already done? So, that's a scary thought. So it's the things that we don't see because we just do what we got to do. We live life like a Nike ad, just do it. And it's not that we don't take it serious. It's like, man, we're just trying to get through this thing and get back to to life as it was before, right? Let's get back to all these activities. School has started and, kids are in school and the holidays are coming up, and, it's all about trying to get back to life. But life might not be the same. And for those of us that are around us that are healthy or haven't had that experience of dealing with losing a loved one to COVID, or have had to care for someone who's had long-term uh, COVID issues after the fact, or that person's been the breadwinner or the kind of the cornerstone of the family, and they can't operate in the way that they were before. That's devastating to the family. It really is devastating. If I uh, came out of this thing and all of a sudden I was so tired that I couldn't do anything and I couldn't run the company, that would be devastating, uh, to all those that depend on me to, run G2 and serve the people that we serve. Uh, to not be able to advocate because there's just not the energy and the strength to do any of those things. So I don't think we think through all the ramifications of just how serious it is. And I think I will play one video for you before I get out of here, because one of the things I've been saying is, we've got winter's coming. Winter is definitely here, right? Winter is here. There's no doubt about that. But with the fact that winter is here, we know that this Delta variant is just crazy already. And it's summertime, right? It's not supposed to be like this during summer. It's not. And it is. And so we're coming up on uh, flu season. And so we will actually have a flu season and a sick season. Uh, I think both sides of the aisle politically are not going to shut down the country again. And so we're going to have to exist, especially those of us who are low income, who are going to be forced to be in dangerous spaces, right? We're going to have to go to work. We're going to have to, pay our bills. And that means, trying to keep yourself as safe as possible. But as the moratorium is over here in about, 24 days, 26 days, there's not a lot of time, right? Is there going to be another bridge? Even if there is, it can't last forever, right? And the big deal with that is harm is being done, irreparable damage between landlord and tenant, and landlords have to be able to pay their bills. they have to live. I mean, there's stories of landlords that they can't evict. Their situation is bad. They can't even move back into their own property, right? Because they literally can't evict the person that's in their property, but that was their livelihood to do what they needed to do, and now they don't have it. Like, I mean, it's a, we think about our situation and how we're impacted, but other people are impacted also. And so as these things start to expire and we see how we behave ourselves as Americans, you know, uh, the writing on the wall is here to me, right? And so we've got the Delta variant. This thing is whipped up out of control. We got, I mean, more kids are getting COVID now. Uh, and so you're seeing that. And then there's this Lambda variant that is out there. Uh, and now there's a new variant. There's a new variant, which is called the Mu variant. And so I wanted to play this thing that's short. There's a few different videos on here. So I look at, and so I should say, one of the things that I do is I do consume a lot of information, but I also like to I do like to go and look at other, I'll consume the information off social media from a space that is likely not reputable, or they could be reputable, who knows? But then I'll go and I'll follow that up at the CDC or some other places to see what the deal is. But yeah, let me go ahead and just kind of play this, because I think this is important for us to kind of see here. Fair use. Go ahead and put my little copyright disclaimer up there really quick. Let me go ahead and pause that. I'm being told that you guys can't hear that, so let me fix that. Sabrina, did it end up coming back on, or could you still not hear it? Let me try this over.
K41 organization. Let's bring in our chief health editor, Dr. Partha Nandi now. Doc, as these cases are surging, the World Health Organization is raising concerns about another variant. What can you tell us about Mu?
Yeah, it just keeps coming, huh, Brian? So the World Health Organization started monitoring this variant back in March. Mu, it's being called, also known as B1621. First identified, Brian, in Colombia, as you mentioned, but it can now be found in 39 countries, including the United Kingdom and here in the US. Overall, the Mu variant makes up a small number, less than 0.1% of infections around the world. There's been a mix of sporadic cases along with larger outbreaks, mostly in South America and Europe. Now, even though sequenced cases of it have declined globally, it appears to be gaining some steam and spreading and gaining ground in Colombia and Ecuador.
Well, do scientists know yet whether the Mu variant is more transmissible, causes more serious disease, or evades vaccines? Basically, how concerned should Americans be?
Brian, good questions, right? The reason why the World Health Organization added Mu to its watch list is because of its mutations. It has something called a P68-1H mutation, which is linked to faster transmission. It has also two other worrisome mutations. They're called E48K and K41. And these also can help the Mu variant evade immunity defenses that people have developed, right, from either getting vaccinated or having a past infection. Again, not a good thing. It's also possible that the monoclonal antibody treatments, Brian, may not work as well against the Mu variant. Now, preliminary data does suggest this, unfortunately, but what we really need is for this variant to be studied more, and I'm sure we'll do that. So right now, we can't really just say with certainty if Mu is more contagious, right? It causes more severe disease or evades our vaccine or treatment. So your question, right? How concerned should Americans be? Well, here in the U.S., the Mu variant makes up only 0.2% of all cases. So it's a very tiny slice of the pie. It has not yet spread like wildfire, like we've seen with the Alpha and Delta variants. However, it's not to say it won't happen. Viruses like this, actually change in order to survive, right? It's normal. This is what it does. And no one has a crystal ball to see what's going to happen next. But I can tell you this, if more of us gets vaccinated, guess what? It'll box in the virus so it can help it from not mutating, and it leaves less room for it to evolve and change into something more dangerous and deadly. Again, so please get vaccinated. Like all the other health leaders are saying around the state, country, and the world, if you can do that, we can really win this fight. It's not over yet, but we can win the fight if we get more people vaccinated. And if you're not vaccinated yet, please do, or mask up and get protected.
All right, Dr. Nandi, grateful for you and your expertise and time. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. And let's bring in our chief health.
All right. So, I wanted to play that for you. And what I think is significant about that is the fact that if you remember, we were dealing with just regular COVID, right? The alpha variant, if you will. And the Delta variant was in some other places, and it really wasn't here. Then it was here, but it was just really sporadic. And then all of a sudden, it started taking on steam. And I remember when it was like 20% of all cases are now this Delta variant, 50% of all cases are now the Delta variant, 80%, and you just watch this progression, right? So when seems to be really the question to me, does this Mu variant become the new variant, right? The new dominant variant. Thank you. The team is getting ready to drop off a package for me. I appreciate that. That means that somebody else has a package getting ready to be dropped off to them too. So be ready for that. You know who you are. But when does that become the new variant? And they're talking about, obviously they need more studies, but this thing may be less impacted by folks that have been vaccinated or have antibodies from having COVID previously. And so that's a scary thought, right? And as we want our liberties and we don't want to wear a mask, you see the fights that, folks are having with not having their kids, not wanting their kids to wear a mask at school, and folks not wanting to wear a mask, here, there, and everywhere else. And it really kind of becomes this thing of survival of the fittest. That part to me is scary. And because folks are going to be in some desperate situations where, hey, look, the moratorium is over. I got to pay my rent. My relationship with my landlord isn't great. And my rental history, I've already been behind. I'm pausing here because I need to respond to this text. Sorry for the dead air. I'll come back on in a little bit.